We graduated together on a Saturday, and by Wednesday, he was shipping out to a place we'd never heard of. His name was Mike. We'd been best friends since 3rd grade, and I still think about him almost every single day. It's been 56 years, and I still miss him like it happened last week. I need to tell you this story. Not because it's easy, but because I think people need to remember that these weren't just statistics. These weren't just numbers on a wall. These were kids. Real kids with real lives and real dreams. Back then was 1966. We were 18 years old, just graduated from high school in Toledo, Ohio. We thought we had our whole lives ahead of us. Mike was going to study engineering. I was going to go to college and maybe become a teacher. We had plans. Real plans. We were going to get an apartment together after college. Maybe start a business. We'd been talking about it since we were like 12 years old. Mike was the kind of guy that everyone liked. Not in a fake way. He was just genuinely good. Good humor, good heart, good at everything he tried. He could have been anything at all. The draft notice came 2 days after graduation. Just showed up in his mailbox like it was a regular piece of mail. His number had come up, and back then, you didn't get to say no. You didn't get to say, actually, I have plans. You just went. I remember going to the bus station with him. His whole family was there. His mom was trying not to cry. His dad was shaking his hand like they were business associates. His little sister was actually crying, even though she was only 10 and didn't really understand what was happening. Mike and I stood off to the side for a minute, away from all the emotion. And I remember him saying, "It's going to be fine. It's probably just going to be training for a while. Then they'll figure out I'm too smart to be an engineer or whatever, and they'll make me an officer." He was joking, trying to make light of it. I remember trying to laugh, but I couldn't quite do it. Something in my stomach was screaming that this wasn't fine, that this wasn't going to be okay. But I didn't say anything. What was I going to say? I just told him I'd write him letters, and he got on that bus. I watched it pull away, and I remember thinking, I'll see you in 2 years. That's what we all thought. You did your service, you came home, you went on with your life. That's how it was supposed to work. I did write him letters, lots of them. I'd tell him about college, about girls I was dating, about stupid stuff happening in town. And he'd write back when he could. His letters came less frequently as time went on. He was in basic training. Then he was stationed somewhere in California. Then suddenly he was shipping out to Vietnam. I didn't really know anything about Vietnam. None of us did. It wasn't like it is now with the internet and 24-hour news. You knew there was a war happening, but it felt far away. It felt like it wasn't real. It felt like something that couldn't actually touch you, even though obviously it could. Mike's letters from Vietnam were different, shorter, more formal, like he was being careful about what he said. I remember one letter where he said, "It's hot here, and there's bugs you've never heard of. The food is terrible. I miss home." That was it. That was the whole letter. Like he was trying not to say too much. I was at my parents' house when the telegram came. We had a landline, one of those old rotary phones, and a Western Union telegram had come to the house. My mom called me upstairs. I remember her face when she told me. She didn't even have to say it. I knew. Michael was killed in action on November 12th, 1968. He was 20 years old. I don't remember much about what happened after that. I remember going to the funeral. I remember seeing his mom in the front pew, just completely destroyed. I remember the flag-folded ceremony. I remember thinking how absurd it all was. Like folding a flag was going to make any of this make sense. But mostly I remember the feeling of unreality. Like someone had told me that gravity wasn't working anymore. Like the rules of the world had just changed and nobody had told me. I was in college when Mike died. I had friends. I had a girlfriend. I was going to classes and having parties and doing all the normal college stuff. And my best friend since third grade was dead. Was just gone. Not coming home. Not going to get that apartment with me. Not going to start that business. Just gone. I got angry. So angry. I was angry at the war. Angry at the government. Angry at Mike for going. Angry at him for dying. Angry at myself for being safe while he was dead. I went to anti-war protests. I got arrested once. I screamed at people. I was a mess. My parents were worried about me. My girlfriend left me because I was too dark, too angry all the time. I don't blame her. I wasn't exactly a fun person to be around. What I didn't do was talk about it. Not really. I didn't talk about Mike. I didn't say his name out loud. Saying his name felt like acknowledging that he was really dead, and I wasn't ready for that. So I just didn't. Years went by. I graduated college, got a job, met someone else, and eventually married her, had kids, built a life, and I never talked about Mike. Not to my wife, not to my kids, not to anyone. It was like if I just didn't acknowledge what happened, maybe it wouldn't be real. But it was real. It is real. And the thing about grief is that it doesn't go away just because you don't talk about it. It just sits there, getting heavier, getting older, becoming this weight you carry around for the rest of your life. I didn't deal with what happened to Mike until I was in my 50s. I went to therapy. My wife basically forced me. And the therapist asked me about my childhood, about people who were important to me. And I broke. I just completely fell apart. All those years of not talking about it, of pretending it hadn't happened, it all came pouring out. The therapist told me that grief is something you have to feel. You can't just put it away and pretend it's not there. You have to sit with it. You have to acknowledge it. You have to let yourself be sad about it. So I did. For the first time in 30 years, I let myself be sad about Mike. I went to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C., found his name on the wall, Michael James Patterson, just a name carved into black stone. And I put my hand on it, and I cried. I cried for the kid he was. I cried for the man he could have become. I cried for his mother who lost her son. I cried for myself for losing my best friend. And it helped. Not in the way that makes the grief go away. It doesn't go away. But it helped me stop carrying it alone. Mike would be 80 years old now. He'd probably have grandkids. He'd probably be retired, maybe traveling, living the life he was supposed to live. Instead, he's forever 20 years old, forever a name on a wall. I think about him when I see young people. I think about how fragile life is, How quickly everything can change. How one day you're graduating high school with your best friend, and a few months later he's dead, and you have to figure out how to keep living without him. What I want people to understand is that the Vietnam War wasn't just a historical event. It wasn't just something you read about in textbooks. It was real people, real lives, real losses. 58,000 Americans died in Vietnam. 58,000 Mikes. 58,000 people who could have been someone's best friend. And their families never fully recover. You just learn to carry it. I talk about Mike now. I say his name. I tell people about him. I tell them he was smart and funny and good, and he didn't deserve to die in a place most of us had never heard of. His memory deserves to be more than a name on a wall.